Hey guys, back again. This is day 6 of me quitting my job, but I'm not really gonna make this video about me quitting my job. I kind of wanted to do something different today, and so I thought today I would do a video on what is the Matrix, because a couple of people have asked me this recently because they've heard me talk about it. I've always been obsessed with the movie, and I knew for a long time that I kind of felt like the Matrix was real, and I've said it before and probably sounded nuts, but I didn't exactly get it. I didn't know how to explain it, but I do now somewhat. I don't get everything. There's still a ton that I don't know, but I'll go into what I've learned and what the Matrix is to me, and anyway, and hopefully it'll help you kind of get through the weeds and maybe see a light at the end of the tunnel. So before we get into it about what the Matrix is, I kind of want to give you an analogy of a computer. So let's say you have two computers, exact same hardware, and there's no programs or operating system on them yet. So you take the two exact same computers, you built them, everything's exactly the same RAM, same processing, everything's the same video, graphics, whatever. So, then let's say you put an operating system on one computer. Let's say you make one Windows 10, and then you make the other one Windows 7, which I personally liked better, but no, that's not what this video is about. Okay, so you put an operating system on each computer, and for those of you that have used Windows 7 and Windows 10, you know that like Windows 10, it went to like all app-based. And Windows 7 was still like the old-fashioned where you could easily go navigate through the folders and whatever. And then when you got to Windows 10, it was almost like you were using like a tablet or a smartphone. A lot of people didn't like that. I think we're getting used to it now, but when they first did it, it was like, oh, what the heck's that? Well, anyway, so if you tried to do something on the Windows 7 computer, if you try to look for an app on the Windows 7 computer, you're not going to find it because you just have programs. It's not going to know what you're talking about. And if you go try to look for, by the same way, well, actually you kind of can get into the system like Windows 7 if you're on Windows 10, but just for the analogy's sake, let's just say you can't navigate through the Windows 10 computer like you can on the Windows 7. So, but remember, they were the exact same hardware. So that's kind of how I want you to think about our brains. And so imagine, my speaker always dies when I'm doing a video. So imagine that you have two different people. Let's say you have a rich person and a poor person. And they're exactly the same build, right? I mean, you could argue that one of them's a little more physically fit or whatever, had better genetics, but again, for the sake of the analogy, they're the exact same build. All right, one of them's rich and one's poor. What is different about them? What's different? And besides them giving, parents giving them money, the one thing that's different is their programs, their mind, of how their mentality is, what their mentality is like. And so I say all that to say, like, when somebody is born into a rich family, they grow up with a mentality of having. They're not in lack. Yeah, their parents might have made them learn hard lessons and say you have to work for a living or whatever, but not all have done that, but they still felt entitled to riches because they were born into it. They felt entitled to it. And we talk about entitlement like it's a bad thing. In society, we talk about it like it's a bad thing. But don't think about it in that way. Just think about entitlement as it's like your right to it. Like you just feel like you deserve it. And then let's take somebody that's born into a poor family. They're going to have a feeling like they don't deserve it, even though they might say they deserve it, and they might all be mad about not deserving it or not having it. That anger about not having it is a program. That's a program of not having it. All right, so again, you take those two same computers, and let's say you put I'm looking at my notes. So you take those two same computers, and you put a program on one. And let's say you put a program on it that can, I don't know, go crawl around the internet and look for videos that say, what is the matrix? And so that's what it's going to do. And let's say that's what you built that computer to do, and that's all it ever does. So it's really good at doing that thing. And then let's say it did that thing for 20 years. And then you want it to do something else. Even if you gave it the new program, it's gonna, you guys know like how you like train your phone and your computers to like do what you want it to do. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. So like, let's say you get like a new phone and it's like, oh, it's not like my old phone and it doesn't do anything right. But after you have it for like a couple weeks, everything like is right where you want it to be, and it can do that function, whatever you want it to do, it can do it really fast. And computers are the same way. That's why we hate getting new computers, because it's like, it doesn't do what I want it to. And then you kind of like develop a relationship with your computer to where it will start doing what you want it to do. And so after they've run a program so many times, they're used to the pathways that it has to go through to complete those certain tasks. And so it's used to doing that, so it can do those easier. If you make it do something new, even if it's completely capable of doing the new program, it doesn't necessarily at first want to do that new program really easily, because it's not used to doing that. It's different than what it was used to doing. So you're going to have to make it run that program, and you might have to tweak the program a little bit. Okay, say maybe take this down a notch, raise that up a notch, or whatever, till the computer gets used to running that program. Then it'll run it fine. So you guys, our minds are exactly like computers, okay? So my ice maker is filling up. Gosh, that's loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So all these things that we're born into, and I swear it all ties into the matrix. Just stay with me. So all of these things that we're born into, they're just programs. And so you might say, well, we're not plugged in and nobody put a program. Well, when you were born, you had eyes. So all your five senses, your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, touch, all of those are downloading information. You're hearing things if you have those. If you don't have them, then your other senses work harder to compensate for the ones that you don't have. But you're seeing things, you're hearing things, you're tasting things. That's data. So you're getting all that data and your brain's processing it, and that's building your OS or your operating system or your program. And if you don't believe me, you never had to teach a baby how to walk. They just get up and walk, right? They just do it because they see you doing it. They're downloading that program of walking. They're downloading walking. So they're downloading talking. They're downloading everything that they do. They're also downloading their mentality. So if they see you, and of course you can break out of this, just like the computer can learn a new program. But until you understand it, you won't break out of it. And so the child is seeing the parent do these things. They're downloading the mentality. They're downloading the state of mind, the financial situation, that feeling. Feelings are so huge in the matrix. Okay, so they're downloading that feeling. And if you have that program of poverty, or even just being middle class, or thinking that rich people are evil, or whatever, anything negative towards money, or whatever it is, whatever it may be, you got that program from somewhere. All right, so now the next thing I wanted to talk about was, all right, so we'll actually get into what the matrix is. So what the matrix is, so since we've established that your brain is like a computer and you downloaded all the information, everything that is the way you are, you've downloaded that thing. We think our thoughts are brand new, but information, you have millions of waves going through your body right now of information, of radio waves and all kinds of information. Cell phone towers, there's waves. Never mind the conspiracies about, what damage that does. That's a topic for another day. I'm trying to keep this material on a positive note, although it can get very dark, but you can make it very positive as well. And it is positive because you have the control. You have the control. Okay, so, and that actually is big. So, one thing that the, powers that be, the people in control. As we all know, there are a few groups that control the world. One thing that they know that the majority of the population doesn't know is that we all are constantly collecting data, and we all are putting out energy, and that energy goes into like collective consciousness. Like collective consciousness is like this big, I picture it like this big swirling energy that kind of like just goes around the entire universe, but almost like going around the earth like really fast, and just the whole entire sphere. And every thought that you have, they've measured this. Bruce Lipton talked about this, and a lot of psychologists have done. You can measure thought from outside of your brain. So we already know that our thoughts go outside of our brain. And so when it goes out into the world or into the collective consciousness, your thought is energy, and it puts that out there, and it makes the energy, how do I say this? It adds to the collective consciousness. It goes in there. Well, and everything that we do, most of the choices that we make are based off of a program that we got when we were younger. So if somebody could influence that program, to make us do what they wanted us to do without even having to use any force, that would be very ideal, would it not? So let's say that you thought that you had to go to college, get a job, save for retirement, and then retire. And now that you're too old to enjoy your life, you're sitting there thinking, gosh, what happened to those dreams that I had when I was a teenager, when I was a kid? Why didn't I do any of that stuff? And I'll tell you why you didn't do any of that stuff, or why you're probably watching this video, is because you're afraid. And the reason we're afraid, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But if you don't do anything further, it will be your fault. But you're afraid because you have fear pumped into you 24 hours a day, on the radio, on the news, in the newspaper, anywhere you go. I mean, you practically have to be in nature and have blinders on. Just be in nature, or you're going to have some kind of fear pumped into you. It doesn't matter what side you're on. That's also an illusion. There is no side. We're all connected, okay? We're all connected. We're all one. We literally, so when, like I was saying, your thought goes into the energy field or consciousness, whatever, and we just can't see it. But if you start meditating enough, you actually will be able to see it, and you will be able to feel it. And once you meditate, that's what the whole thing is of meditation, is that it lets you see how you're connected to other people and animals and everything else. And once you see that, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, what am I doing with my life? And so, anyway, okay, and then this is sort of a side note, but I think it's valid. Music used to be tuned to 440 hertz. That's your middle A note on the piano. And I'm sorry, your middle A is 440, but your middle A used to be tuned to 432. And then all the other instruments are tuned off of that middle A on the piano. And like I said, it's 440. There is an experiment. You've got to look at it. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube. Just look up 432 versus 440 hertz. And I'll try to find a link and put it in this. And so when the scientists played music at 432 hertz, they did like grains of sand. I think it was sand or salt. The sands and salt would like do these like, I don't know, beautiful structures. They would form and they would come together. They would start going towards each other and doing beautiful stuff. When they played 440 hertz, they went into separate groups. Well, I think it was in the 20s, I think in the 1920s or 30s, don't quote me, but I think in the early 1900s, somebody made it a thing to change the frequency that we were going to tune everything to 440. Why? I don't know. But it's scientifically proven that it causes us to be separate. Everything that you're listening to on anything that has to do with music and sound has more than likely been tuned to 440 hertz. That causes you stress into your body. that causes your cells anxiety. It causes you to not connect with other people. It literally causes friction. It's probably why when we go to the bar or the club, people are always arguing or fighting or angry or have egos, and never mind the alcohol. That also lowers your vibration. But anyway, so we have this pumped into us all the time. And the thing is, when you feel separate, you feel afraid. You feel alone. And then you're not going to take a leap of faith because you're like, oh, what if I upset my parents? What if I don't, what if I don't, I don't know, save for retirement? What if I end up homeless? What if I get sick and I don't have medical insurance? All of those are fears that were pumped into you. In fact, you want to know what? Here's something laughable. For 18 years, I didn't have a job, and I raised my daughter off of music and odds and ends and here and there. Everything that I did wasn't ideal, but I didn't have a job and I didn't have health insurance. And her and I were fine. I had a scare one time, but it worked itself out. Then I went to college. Then I got a career. I became an engineer. I had amazing insurance. Do you know I got so sick when I had health insurance that I was constantly going to the doctor? I had stress. I had pinched nerves all in my back, and I was having to get all these shots. And every time I got one, I was getting all these epidurals. And every time I got one, it was like $3,000, and I had a copayment of like $800. I have debt, medical debt now, and I never had medical debt in my entire life until I had a good job and good insurance. And I also never had that much sickness until I had good job and good insurance. Now, I have had health problems in the past, but I usually was able to just relax a little bit and they would work themselves out. And most of it, when I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was all fear-based. It almost every time we get sick, well, not almost every time, but most of the times when we get sick, well, I guess that's the same thing. A lot of the times when we get sick, we are thinking we're afraid of something, and it's causing us to get sick physically in our body. So I highly recommend reading The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. That's an excellent book about that. And so anyway, if you knew these secrets, okay, if you knew this, now I know that it sounds very kind of hippie-ish and okay, well, that's all fine and good, but you still didn't tell us what the matrix is. I want you to listen. I am telling you what it is. The matrix is your belief system. It's your belief system. It's your fears. What if I told you that those fears didn't come from you, that someone put them there? People that wanted to control you. So what the matrix is your programs that aren't real. Fears are not real. In fact, I'm reading The Alchemist. I have a few more pages, but there's a quote in it today. It said, I read a page. It said, the fear of suffering is worse than suffering. And a heart that follows its dreams never suffers. That's so powerful. That gives me goosebumps. The fear of suffering is always worse than actual suffering. And a heart that follows its dreams never suffers, because every minute spent on that journey was minutes spent with God. Whew, just let that marinate. I'm getting that infinite intelligence vibe feeling right now. That's great. That's so great. And so how do you break out of the matrix? Well, the first thing that you got to do is realize that your thoughts are so critical. You need to learn how to be present in the moment. And I used to hear that all the time and know, what the hell does that even mean? You know what? I had never been present in the moment, that I didn't even know what being present in the moment meant. So if you don't get what people are saying when they're saying be present in the moment or be in the moment, be in the now, let me tell you, start meditating, because I used to not get what that meant either. I was like, I am here. I don't have a choice. I'm in the moment. What am I going to do? Fly into the future? But your thoughts, you're thinking about the past, regretting something, being in your head like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? I should have done this. I should have done that. Beating yourself up. Or you're going to the future and we're like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if that happens? And then you're getting yourself all worked up in case you do something wrong. If you live in this moment, you won't be afraid. Isn't that crazy? If you live in this moment and say, whoa, I'm chilling. I just quit my I looked at my dog and it made me say dog. Hi, doggy. He must be thinking about me. I just quit my job almost a week ago. A week ago tomorrow. I'm feeling great too. Feeling so free and blessed and on my path to find my personal legend. I highly recommend The Alchemist also. But anyway, so I just quit my job a week ago, and where was I going with that? I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I'm not editing nothing. We're going with it all. Okay, so your thoughts are critical. That's what it was. So be in the moment. So what you can do to get out, this is how you get out of the matrix. So you're not going to physically, so in the movie, that was like sort of an analogy. So in the movie, he actually gets physically like unplugged from something. You're not going to get physically unplugged, but you're going to get like energetically unplugged. So when you realize what things are causing you fear, and I know I'm going to sound like a big old hippie when I say this, but so remember how I said that every thought is energy and it all goes out into the universe. Every thought is energy. Animals have thoughts, do they not? My dogs do. My dog is looking at me right now like, yeah, I have thoughts. I wish you would pet me right now. He's so cute. I wish you could see him. But anyway, so animals have thoughts. Now, if you have ever seen these YouTube videos, and they're very traumatizing, but I think you should watch them if you haven't. I think they're necessary to see at least once for everybody, of the abuse that goes on in farms and the mistreatment of animals. That's fear, you guys. That's energy that's going into the universe. Okay? And also, it's energy that's in that meat. It's energy that's in that meat. And if you eat that, you're eating fear and death and murder. And I'm not trying to make you feel bad. You don't have to feel bad. I'm not trying to convince you to be vegan or anything like that. But be aware that the food pyramid is a big fat lie made to keep you in the matrix, made to lower your consciousness and lower your energy level, you guys. Made to lower, my tattoos look cool when I did that. Sorry. I have the front camera on because when I do the back camera, I always jack up the shot. So anyway, it is what it is. So, but the food pyramid is eggs, milk, meat, bread. I mean, bread's okay if you can get like vegan bread, but maybe tiny fruits and vegetables off to the side. But you guys, when you eat like an apple or an orange or a banana or a salad or anything with color, in fact, this is what I started thinking about. If you smell the food without cooking it, okay? If you smell it and it smells good, it's good to eat. If it looks pretty, if it looks appealing to the eye, then it's good to eat. Well, except for a couple like poisonous berries and things like that. But if you think like a steak, and I'm still kind of programmed too. I'm not going to lie. My mouth just watered a little bit when I said steak. I've only been vegan this is my second time doing veganism. The first time I did it, I just wanted to do it to be like skinny. I was kind of on a spiritual quest, but I had a lot of distractions. So it wasn't like I am now. Now I'm living by myself. It's just me and my dogs. And so I have a lot of time and energy to really focus on self-growth. So this time around, I'm doing veganism because I've learned about how dangerous these foods are to us and what they do to our bodies. And so there's like Ralph Smart from Infinite Waters. He's always promoting the 7-day vegan challenge. You guys, I was on my second day being vegan and just eating like all raw. Now I do eat like rice and stuff like that too, but I try to eat mostly raw foods. The second day of it, my third eye was like, ooh. And if you don't know about the third eye opening, it's intense. It's intense. You activate. So when you meditate, you activate your pineal gland. And your whole top of your head. Shh. I don't know what my dog's growling out. That sounds like someone's outside arguing or something. Anyway, so the second day I had ringing in my ears. I had this vibration right here that I was like, it felt like there was like a light beam. Like how you see... Have you seen those people like meditating and they have like this beam of light going from the sun to their forehead? I felt like that. It was like vibrating my head. It was so intense. And so anyway, these things, another thing that's been done to keep you unconscious in the Matrix. So food pyramid, food. Big thing that kept you in the Matrix. You guys, we don't need to eat animals. We don't. Why are we doing that? Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing? And you get addicted to it. And then it's like, I need to have it. But if we just lived like our ancestors did back in the day, we would be perfectly fine with grains, nuts, and plants. Why do we need to eat animals? Why do we need to kill and eat animals? Think about it. It's very, very, very sick and twisted. I mean, can you imagine ever in your life, let's imagine you were a brand new clean slate. Maybe you were on a deserted island, okay? You were a brand new clean slate and you were never around any other humans, and you grew up and you had like bananas and oranges and apples and mushrooms, and not those kind of mushrooms, maybe some of those, but not the poisonous ones, just the fun ones. And you know, peppers and whatever else you can imagine, and coconuts, and you wake up, you know, let's say you're there, and you also have animals around you, and they're sweet. Cows and pigs are so sweet, you guys. And you're just like, oh, you guys are cute. And those are your companions. Those are your friends. And then you got hungry. I guarantee you, the last thing that you would think of is murdering one of them and eating them. For sure, you would say, what's this? And you'd say, well, okay, that works. And you would eat the plants and animals. I mean, you would eat the plants, the fruits and vegetables. And you would be perfectly happy doing that because you would never know that other taste. Makes me so mad. Ugh, I'm trying not to get mad. I don't want to put that into the... but you'd be perfectly content with that. And then what do we do when we raise our babies? Start feeding them baby food with dead animals in it. Ugh. No. I mean, I'm so glad that my daughter is open-minded and she's on the right path, but I feel so bad. I wish I would have known this stuff when she was little, because I would have raised her vegan. I so wish I would have known better, but hey, we all learn. We live and learn, right? So anyway, I'm teaching now, so that's okay. So the food, that's a big one. Okay, another thing that they do, when I say they, I'm just going to say they because I don't really know who they are. You could say the Illuminati, the Cabal, the devil. I don't know. You can say any of these days, and it doesn't matter. And honestly, I'm going to say you might go through a little phase where you're angry, but I'm going to try to say stay away from the anger. I have to work on that too, because all you're going to do is you're going to get angry, and then you're going to get afraid, because it is scary when you're like, well, how did it get like this? And those will kind of bring scary thoughts. And then what do you get when you have fear? Low vibration. And then the first thing you're going to want to do is things that will numb that fear. And so you're going to start eating the wrong things and drinking and doing all that other stuff that is going to make you lose touch with your higher self. So be careful when you start finding your higher self, when you start kind of swimming to shore and you're like, oh, okay, you see the land, and you're like kind of getting away from the abyss, that you don't get so mad and then jump right back into the abyss. Because if you get angry, you're going to cause fear again, and then you're going to go right back to where you were. That fear is a low vibration, and that's what they count on to keep you a prisoner, a prisoner of your mind. Fear is all it takes to have a hold on you. So that's what the Matrix is. So be careful not to get angry. Be very careful with that. If you feel yourself get angry, of course we have to process it when we learn about all this stuff. But the way to really change it is what I'm doing, is make videos, tell people, meditate, become aware, love, realize that we're all connected, and we're connected to even the people that did the wrong. Even the people that are doing evil, we're also one with them. So it's actually all part of us. It's us. So the second that we think that we're separate, that's the Matrix. You're not separate, okay? We're not separate. Race is fake. I know, gender's fake. All of this stuff is fake. We're all one. The second you feel separate, then they have a hold on your mind. And you'll probably wonder and just think about the times in your life when you felt connected, you were probably being healthy. You were probably making good choices. And then think about the times that you felt like us versus them. You probably weren't making as good choices. You were probably eating a little bit unhealthier, maybe drinking a little bit more, maybe smoking. So when you start feeling connected, you start losing the urge to do those things that make you, because the feeling of being connected to your higher self and to your true self, being out of the matrix, feels so much better than being high and drunk and disconnected. That it feels so much better. It's love. It's what we're looking for when we do drugs and alcohol or we argue or try to defend, well, and I get it, you guys. There's a lot of, there's a lot of messed up stuff in the world, but you don't want to fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water. So be peace and love. And you guys, so many people are waking up from the matrix, that it is working. Okay, so the next thing that they do is religion. So I'm going to say, gosh, if the Bible explains the matrix to a T, the Bible. Yeah, you didn't think I was going to say that, did you? And I am not religious. I grew up in religion, and they twist it all around, and they make it this whole, don't have abortion, date this person, do this, do that, and it's a bunch of rules. That's not what the Bible is about, okay? It's all twisted. We've got it all wrong. The Bible is actually telling you how to connect to your higher self, and that we're all one. Now, not all parts of the Bible, but there is some deep wisdom. Now, have you ever wondered why, like, the Quran and the Bible and Buddhism and all these religions have, and writings and teachings, they all have like a prophet, and they say so many of the same lessons, and they came from different parts of the world. How can that be? Well, it's because they're connected. So the prophet doesn't necessarily mean that they were different or separate. It was just that they were connected to their higher self. You guys are all connected to your higher self too. You just don't know it. We're always connected. We just don't know it. We're numb to it because of all the fear. The fear almost is like, just, that's the matrix. That's the matrix. Once you start moving that blockage and you see that connection, you're like, oh my gosh, you see your connection, you see everybody's connection, and it almost just turns into like this big branch, like, it's beautiful, you guys. And you're like, oh my gosh, we are all one. What are we doing? And so religion, anything that makes you have to be separate from anybody. And I'm talking about from politics, religion. You guys, that's all part of the matrix. All of that's part of the matrix. Because what do politics do? And so people might say, well, Lega-C, what are you? Are you Republican or Democrat? I don't subscribe to that, you guys, because anything that makes you fight or disagree, you can disagree, but you don't have to be disconnected. Anything that makes you disconnect, separate from somebody else or other groups of people, that's how you know if it's part of the matrix. If it makes me feel like us versus them. Because like, so I heard this one time, when you feel that, because sometimes, I mean, I've been around, like, I was in engineering and I worked around some a-holes, okay? There were some guys that said some sexist stuff, and I played the victim for a while. And it was hard. I would never want to go back there. I was in some very negative atmospheres and low vibrational states. But one thing that I learned was to get through it, I had to fight through it for about, gosh, I was there for about 2 years. It was bad for about a year. About 1 year, it was really bad. And during that year is when I really started getting into meditation. It would teach you, like, look for similarities, not differences. And look at people with curiosity, not judgment. Curiosity, not judgment. Similarities, not different. And compassion. And so if somebody's doing something that gets on your nerves or that's offensive to you, be compassionate towards them. And I know that's so hard, especially when it triggers and you're like, but you're depressed, you're suicidal. I get it. I know. I've been there. I know. Somebody's being super racist. Somebody's being super sexist. Maybe it's happening to you, or maybe you're experiencing it, you're witnessing it happen to somebody else. You're like, but it's not fair. Life's not fair. I know. But you know how you've combat that is being positive. And I know that's so cliche to say that, and it's so much easier said than done. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. And all the answers are within you. So you have to kind of dig deep. Not kind of, you really have to dig deep and start seeing that we're all connected. When you start seeing that we're connected, then you don't get so triggered by things because you're like, that's unfortunate that they still have that program installed. I deleted that program. That's unfortunate that they're still running that program. That's unfortunate. And just get the hell away from it. Just get away from it. And that's it. And if you can't physically get away, like it's like the person next to you in your cube, put headphones in and play this video or some of my other videos or Infinite Waters. There's so much good stuff on YouTube, you guys. So the Matrix is a series of programs, and they keep you they keep us disconnected. So we're very strong together. And if you notice, it's almost like a domino effect happening right now because so many people are starting to wake up. If you notice, there's so many of these videos on YouTube now. And it's not a coincidence, you guys. This is the age of Aquarius. This is the age of awakening. This is the age of information. I didn't know what any of that meant 6 months ago until I meditated so much every day for about 8 months until it finally started clicking. And I promise it takes time. You have to be patient, okay? So I know me telling you what the Matrix is. You're like, I hear you, but I don't really see it. I don't get it. So that's because those programs are still there. And it took them, I don't know how old you are, 20, 30, 40 years to really perfect those programs, okay? So it's going to take some work to delete them. And you can't just delete them. You have to replace them with new programs. And there's lots of videos, you guys. That's what hypnosis is. Hypnosis. But you need to play like the same program like every day. Like, I am beautiful. I am peace. I am love. I am happy. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful world. Thank you for these beautiful people. Thank you for all of this beautiful energy. Thank you for my success. Thank you for your success. Thank you for me being the CEO of a big company. Thank you for me having my own company. Thank you for us changing the world. Thank you for us connecting millions of people. Thank you for us bringing people so much happiness. Thank you for so many people waking up. Do you guys feel that? You got to keep saying stuff like that until you start getting goosebumps like, oh my gosh, it's literally a natural high. And again, you have to make yourself, so earlier I was saying like feelings are everything. Sorry, I have like this one long hair. It's so frustrating. So your feelings are so important because the way we believe our program now is that like the program that we were raised with is we're like, okay, I will be happy if I get this job. I will be happy if I get this boyfriend or girlfriend. I will be happy if I have this much money. If I could only live here, then I would do this. If I could only have this, then I would do that. The universe doesn't work that way. The Matrix doesn't work that way, okay? If you guys want to escape the Matrix, and I know because I escaped it. I am not drank, and now I'm on week 2. I don't even have to say days anymore. I'm on week 2, no drinking, no smoking, no drugs, vegan, and yeah, I know I have a long journey ahead of me. I know I'm only at the beginning, but I was on the spiritual path for about 8 months, but now I'm on just this really, now that I'm tapped into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is way better than partying. And so, but the thing is, you have to do the work before you get the reward. And I know that's how everything is, but this is no different. And so if you want to escape the Matrix, then the first thing you have to do is start loving people and connecting to people. And I'm talking about not you want to try to stay away from negative energy, but if you see somebody like my sister, and I don't know if she watches these videos or not. I send them to her. I don't know if she watches them. But if she sees this, hopefully she won't be mad about me saying this. But sometimes she'll see like a guy in a pickup truck, like a white guy in a pickup truck. And she has this whole thing that she assumes he's sexist, racist, abusive, and he's going to run her off the road on purpose. And there are road rage people. I get that. But you guys, most people are good, okay? We have to know that. Most people are good. And if you think somebody bad about them just by looking at them, it goes the same with racism. If you think any skin color is worse than you or better than you, either it goes both ways. Those are programs, okay? We've got to delete those. They're bad for humanity, okay? They're bad for your consciousness. If If you start deleting programs, so if you see somebody that's like a trigger, so like for her, if I was going to give her advice, I would say, find one of those kind of guys, maybe a cowboy hat kind of guy, the redneck type of guy that you think is going to be that thing that triggers you. Go spark up a conversation. Obviously not if you're driving on the highway, but maybe if you see him, I don't know, at a restaurant or a bar or something, maybe just ask him about his life or his family, or get to talking, and you guys will be surprised how much we have in common when we can delete our programs for a minute. Usually they're like on the same spiritual path that you are. Like, I just want to know why we're all here and why do we do this and why do we do that. And sometimes we subscribe to programs because that's the only way we can fit in at work. Maybe we're following sports. That's the matrix too. It's all the matrix, you guys. Anything that makes you separate. Sports, we're separate, right? We're team against team. Anything that makes you separate, anything that makes you compete is the matrix, okay? And it all comes back from fear, and we kind of live out these things where we can be great through a job, or we can be great through a group, through a political party, through a sports team, or whatever it may be. But it's not true to us. It's not true to ourselves and true to our higher self and true to the one that we actually are. So let me see what else I want to talk about. Okay, energy. So we talked a little bit about energy, about how every thought is energy. You ever wonder how these big corporations make so much money? Guys, this really blew my mind. This was a hard pill to swallow, matrix pill, when I came to this realization. Corporations, you have a corporate job. Do you witness nobody does jack crap? Like, why are you getting paid 80 grand a year? You don't do anything. And I'm over here busting my butt because I like to work. You guys, I genuinely like to work. I like to stay busy. I do enjoy work. And you see these people that don't do a thing, and they're moping and, oh yeah, well, I guess they just say, they're just negative all day. You've seen it. Or, well, did you hear we might get laid off? Did you hear such and such got fired? Did you hear da da da? You think there's going to be free pizza at the meeting? Bless them. We're all one. I'm just laughing because I didn't realize I had picked up on all that stuff, but I definitely did. Anyway, but all right. So the hard pill to swallow is, so you're wondering, the companies are making billions of dollars. So obviously they're not dumb. Okay. But why are they paying these people 80, 100 grand, 120, 150, some of them, and they don't do anything? What in the world are they paying them for? And you guys, it hit me so hard that I felt sick. I felt sick for about a week. They're paying them because they're not paying them for their time. They're paying them for their energy. And that's when I was like, the Matrix is real. So, you know that scene in the Matrix when they're like, you're a battery and da da da, and they show all the people, you're a farm, and they show all the people plugged up to the, like the pods where they're in. Well, that is literally exactly what we're in, only it's just not physical. It's like a spiritual drain where they're literally draining your energy. And that's what creates the momentum to bring them money. Yep. That's how they make so much money and nobody's doing shit. Because if you really think about it, I know you have thought this. I know you have. You've thought, you know what, I could probably do this whole job where they have 1,000 people doing this. I could probably do this whole corporation's job with 10 people, maybe 3. I know you've thought it. I've thought it. And you're like, why in the world does it have to be so many people? Because the energy that human beings possess is the commodity. That's the currency. That's what has the value. Your energy, your job gets rich sucking your energy. Once I realized it and I saw it and I saw the people's energy, and I actually could start to gauge how long somebody had worked there by their energy level, you guys, it almost makes me want to cry because it was so freaking obvious. Once I had that revelation, I was like, it literally felt like when Neo was woken up. And you guys, it was a few days after that I quit. I couldn't. I honestly, I was afraid that I was going to take my own life. That's how painful it was to see when I saw it. And I don't know if you guys have ever had that, if you're that in tune with like your spiritual side and your energy side or whatever. And I hadn't been, but when I was, it hit me hard. And it was hard, you guys. I've been through a lot. And then the next day I just drove into the mountains and I was like, I need to do a spiritual journey and just have nothing around me. It was so intense, you guys. It was so intense. But that's why corporations have so many employees, to suck their energy. That's what's making them rich. That's what keeps it going. And I know that's hard, but it's true. And so the real thing that you're giving to your job, unless you have your dream job, but I'm guessing if you're on this video, you probably don't have your dream job. If you're on this video, or if you're at a job and you're feeling bad about yourself, you're feeling angry at your coworkers, you're feeling like you're punished for being productive, you feel like you get in trouble when you're productive, you feel like people don't trust you, you feel like you don't fit in, you feel like at the end of the day you're like, I'm gonna make a change, you're like, I swear I'm not gonna do this again for another year, and then a year goes by and you're like, why the hell am I still here? That's the matrix, you guys. That's the matrix, okay? That job, that feeling that you're feeling, I'm not going to say that's how they want you to feel, but I am. I'm going to say it. That's how they want you to feel. So what they did is they took your energy, okay? They took your energy. They took your energy. And that's how even fast food restaurants, all these Taco Bells and selling fear and dead animals and murdered, they're getting rich while people are getting minimum wage and they're taking their energy. If they weren't taking their energy and they're leaving them with fear, when you're only left with fear, then you fight and you argue and you don't work together. And that's how they want it. Because if you work together, then you guys would figure out in an hour, probably 5 minutes, you would figure out, let's get out of here and start our own company. This is BS. Why am I here? Why am I here? You don't have to be there. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be there. It's a scary feeling, isn't it? I know. I fought that fear for a long time. I finally did it. I finally jumped, and I don't regret it for a second. Not for a second. Not for a second. You don't have to be there. You don't have to subscribe to the system. You can exit the matrix. And maybe you don't have to do it extreme at once, okay? I'm not saying quit your job. I'm not saying quit your job. What I am saying is meditate and consider becoming vegan, even if it's just for a week, okay? Even if it's just for a day, and see how you feel. And think about, and don't just become vegan and do tofu. Consider eating things that are alive. And when you eat them, say, and there's also scientific data to prove that plants and vegetables are conscious as well. So think about this. If you eat something that's alive, and remember what I told you, everything that's conscience, they're connected to infinite intelligence, right? So have you ever had dreams that you're flying and whatever? That's because we're connected to bird's consciousness. We're connected to everything's consciousness, okay? So if you, and plants as well, everything that's alive, plants as well. So if you, and animals, so if you eat something that's alive and you bought it with love, okay, and it was grown locally or organically or whatever, and it's still alive and you get it and you eat it, so because it's connected, it's still alive, so it still has its light source to infinite intelligence. Guess what you're eating? You are eating information. You're eating data. It literally makes you smarter. It literally will make you more connected to your higher self. Fact. So if you're kind of wanting to get out of the matrix, I would say first start getting out in nature, even if it's for 15 minutes a day. Try to do that 2 times a day. Try to go on like 2 walks a day. Put headphones in. If you live in a city and there's cars everywhere and honking, put in some headphones, play some 432 hertz sounds, not music like you're used to, but I'm talking about some these weird 432 sounds, and go walk in nature, look at the trees, look at the birds, look around you with that sound playing, and eat some fruit. Do that. Do that for a few days, okay? Do it. Just do it and see if things don't start to look differently. And you'll start feeling yourself disconnecting. And if you don't want to disconnect, you can go back to your old ways and you can forget, because I've done it before. But if you do want to disconnect and you want to get out of the matrix, if you want to be free and you don't want to be a slave and giving up your energy anymore, if you want to wake up, then you can take it however for you have control of how far you want to take it. So some people are like afraid to wake up because they're afraid, like, oh my gosh, am I going to quit my job? Am I going to da-da-da-da? You can always lower your vibration and go back to how you were. You guys, I've done it before. You always can. So anyway, I would say definitely explore that. If you come to this video and you wanted to know what the matrix is, then I would say definitely start trying to disconnect from it, because it can be a little bit intense at first, but so at first you're not going to feel or see anything, okay? At first you're not going to see or feel anything. You have to stay consistent with it. It's like anything. It's like working out. You're working out your pineal gland, okay? You need to work it out. You haven't used it. You've been dumping all your energy into your job, dumping all it into fear, okay? You need to, or into a relationship, or whatever that thing is that's causing you anxiety or stress or depression in your life. You dumping all your energy into that. So you got to work this gland. You got to exercise it. You got to exercise. You need to wake it up. And so you're going to exercise that by meditating, walking, getting outside, putting on headphones on to play 432 hertz, unless you're in like a really peaceful nature environment. If you're not, headphones. Get rid of those other signals. There's a lot of bad signals out there that are going to make you get right back into the matrix. And so, yeah, meditate. Start with 5 minutes right before bed. 5 minutes right when you wake up. You guys, there's even sleep meditations that you can play in your headphones while you're sleeping. You can play on your phone. You ain't got to have headphones. You can play while you're sleeping. That will make you start waking up out of the matrix. And so here's what's so beautiful. You create reality, okay? You are a creator, and you create your reality. So if you want it to be scary and negative about waking up from the matrix, then it will be. If you focus, that's why I said I don't really focus on like the conspiracy and the why. I just know that it is. And I don't really want to get involved, because I went down that whole Illuminati YouTube. I think we all have. If you're on this video, you probably went down the whole Illuminati video. And then hip hop is ran by the Illuminati and all that. We all been there like 2010. And I was very angry and felt like there wasn't even a purpose to go on. And you guys, that's still the matrix, okay? So that's sort of why I'm not really worrying about, because that's like, so it's like, okay, here's like, all right, it's all Illuminati. And then it's like, all right, we're all connected. That's a higher level. We're all connected. But dang, I'm really pissed at these people that are controlling all this stuff down here. But keep in mind, those people are up here. Well, they might be somewhere right in here, okay? But if you're like angry or fighting back and forth, then you're just going to kind of go back down. But if you can be loving and peace and forgiving or whatever, then you're going to transcend above to where they were. And it's not about being better or worse. It's just about, like I said, if you want it to be a beautiful experience coming out of the matrix, and you want it to be joyful and enjoy and appreciate life, then you have to set that out as your intent. You have to say that as your intention. So you want to be grateful. Thank you for me understanding. Thank you for me waking up. Thank you for me loving. You want to speak all of those things into existence. Your words, spelling in school was actually casting spells. Your words cast spells. We're creators, you guys. We are creators. We create. So if you're saying the world is beautiful, the world is such a lovely place, then that's what you're going to create. So you want to be really careful when you're kind of learning about all this stuff, that you don't get trapped in trying to be angry or get revenge or get even. Just you know, I would recommend recognize it for what it is and be at peace with it and just say, I don't have to subscribe to that. And that's it. Wash your hands of it and say, everything is beautiful. Life is beautiful. Thank you. And anyway, so yeah, I think, gosh, this is almost an hour long. So that's probably it for me today. More on this later. But yeah, I think that turned out well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give this a thumbs up. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Share it. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Have you been vegan before? Are you starting to wake up? Have you experienced this? Have you seen what I described about the work environment and how they're getting sucked of their energy? Do you think this is all just hippy-dippy bullshit? What do you think? I want to know what you think. I will reply. Leave a comment. Mwah. Love you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.